All right, again, so you guys should all have my contact information. Chief Doss is here, but again, I'm Lieutenant Commander Gabe Soma. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for the Coast Guard 7th District. I'm going to introduce Captain Mark Fedor, the Chief of Response for the 7th District. And he'll be able to provide you with an update of information where we stand in the search effort thus far, where we're heading to in our way ahead, and then we'll open it up for a few minutes of questions. This time I'll introduce Captain Mark Fedor, Chief of Response for the 7th District. Captain.
Good afternoon. I wanted to provide a quick update on the search and rescue case with Austin Stephanos and Perry Cohen. So just to recap, on Friday mid-afternoon, early afternoon, we know they departed Jupiter Inlet on a 19-foot pleasure craft, went offshore. The Coast Guard was initially notified late afternoon, about 5 o'clock, that they were overdue. So we immediately went into search planning efforts and started to saturate the area with all available resources as we could. So as most of you know, yesterday we did locate the 19-foot pleasure craft that was capsized. It was approximately 67 nautical miles to the east of St. Augustine. So based on that information, we recalculated some of our searches, and now we're focusing a little bit more to the north of that position, taking into account the Gulf Stream. But that was a critical piece of information there. So our intentions are to continue to search aggressively. As of midnight tonight, we'll have executed 32 different searches covering over 27,000 square miles. That's about the size of West Virginia. We've had 5 different Coast Guard cutters involved in this. We've pulled aircraft from 3 different Coast Guard air stations, including one in North Carolina. We've had a Navy ship that's been assisting us. Customs and Border Protection aircraft have provided assistance. Fish and Wildlife, local Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission have assisted, as well as Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. So it's been an all-hands-on-deck type effort. We will continue to search aggressively. We'll reevaluate our efforts every day as we move forward. And one thing I'd certainly like to note is the Coast Guard dedicates its best efforts to every search and rescue case. This case certainly hits home. I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old son at home, so this resonates obviously with me, and I can empathize with the families that are involved. So be glad to take questions from there.
What information have we been able to get from that capsized boat that we found? Is that good news or unfortunately bad news to find that boat capsized with the boys nowhere?
Right. It is positive news in that it helped validate our search efforts that we were looking in the right area. So to find that, obviously disappointed that the boys were not clinging to that boat. But what it did do is it helped us validate our search efforts, and now we can recalculate some of the drift analysis that we were doing, taking into account wind, seas, current, and recalculate those search efforts.
When you say there are 32 searches, what exactly do you mean 30? Can you explain exactly what each search entails?
Yeah, 32 different searches. 20 of those were for aviation assets, 12 were for surface assets. And that indicates each one varies in length and distance based on the type of asset that was involved. But each search pattern is calculated specifically on where we think the boat and now the boys may be.
So working on a grid pattern?
Yeah, they are based on our best knowledge, using a lot of computer programming as well to figure out what is the most likely probability for finding Austin and Perry.
And what is the most likely probability?
It's where we're searching right now, to the north of that capsized vessel.
Can you talk about the conditions out on the water right now? Are you guys facing any challenges?
You know, they're pretty good search conditions right now. It's not heavy seas, but what I would tell you is we are looking for 2 buoys. And when a person is in the water, you're basically looking for the chest up. So it's a relatively small object that you're looking for. It's complicated by wave action. Anyone who's been on the water, you know the water's continually moving. There's things called white caps, little white areas on the ocean that make it hard to see just about anything. So it's a challenging environment. We're going to keep searching aggressively, but it's a challenging environment.
So given that, how long do you stay optimistic?
We will continue to search aggressively. We will continue to do that, and we'll recalculate, we'll reevaluate our efforts every day.
I know you guys have been speaking closely with the family, and I know you guys have been speaking closely with the family, trying to find out maybe what was on the boat at the time. Have you guys been able, since this morning, to figure out what was on the boat? I know that they found a life vest and the cover was off, so is there any idea as to, or any indication that maybe they could have a life vest with them? I mean, is there anything, any clues that you were able to take from that?
So first, we are in contact with the family. We had people who work for me visited with the family today. They updated them on our search plans and what our future efforts are. We don't know how many life jackets were in the boat. We saw the one floating, obviously. We are hopeful that maybe they both have life jackets on. We do always try to emphasize anyone who goes on the water to make sure you have the proper safety equipment. Life jackets, a radio to contact people, flares, other type of search and rescue type life-saving equipment. So we always continually emphasize that. So we're not exactly sure what other material they may have had, but we're certainly hopeful they had life jackets.
Have you had a similar case of, people being missing for 3 days in the water, just floating and having been found alive?
Sure, we execute a lot of search and rescue cases every year, and people can survive in the water. It's relatively warm, but again, it's a dangerous environment, and there's only so long you can stay in the water, especially without a boat to float on.
How long can you survive in the water?
Yeah. We go by survivability tables, and in the warm water, you can survive for quite a few days.
3, 4?
So it's 4 to 5 days is in these conditions.
What about
Good time for 2 questions.
Yeah.
2 questions.
Did you find anything on that boat or condition of the boat itself that would explain why it capsized, why they were no longer on the boat, what might have happened to them?
We don't know why they capsized. The engine cowling was removed from the engine. Could indicate maybe they were disabled and they were trying to work on that engine, but we really don't know.
Do you know if the boys had proper boating training and if there were any licensing issues or anything like that?
No, not that. I don't know, what their real experience was, other than we know they left Jupiter Inlet at a certain time and went offshore to fish.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. If you have any other questions, please feel free to get with me after. I can provide you the most recent up-to-date statistics and where we stand, our way ahead. We'll look to do another press conference tomorrow to keep you guys updated. In the meantime, you have our contact information, so please feel free to reach out to me or my staff, and we'll keep you guys up to date. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Do you know what time tomorrow?
Do you know what time tomorrow?
I'll keep you up to date on that. That'll depend on how things evolve.
How long before you follow? Tomorrow morning.